Welcome back, everyone, to the Quake Pro League as we're still going through Stage 1, Week 2, and we're in the fifth series of the day between nosfa and DaHanG. And Flea, we've had some good series so far. This one
Yeah.
should definitely be a close affair depending on the circumstances on how nosfa is going to be playing because we know how consistent DaHanG is. But the last time these two, you could say, played against each other in the loser bracket of the Quake World Championship, it was actually the losers finals of the Americas side, and DaHanG managed to take that 2-0. Do you think it's going to be a similar scoreline, or do you reckon nosfa has changed a few bits here and there over the last month?
I mean, I hope that nosfa has. I think that a lot of players really, or a lot of people just in general, really like the man. Of course, the Thunder from Brazil, he is a tremendously skilled player, a brawler, just like Saigip, can dish out tremendous amounts of damage, and he's got that great stage personality to go with it as well. Now, unfortunately for him, he hasn't quite been able to live up to the hype that he set after his tremendous breakout performance back at QuakeCon last year, so I really think that a lot of people want to see him do better, and I think we did saw a bit of an emergence towards the end of Stage 4, so I hope he can continue bringing that today and maybe get a bit of revenge, because as you said, that was the deciding game. The winner went on to the finals day, the loser dropped out of the tournament, and it was DaHanG who reigned supreme there, so nosfa, of course, wants to turn things around.
nosfa has progressed to a certain amount, you could say. For him to get top 4 in the Americas overall, considering he had to play DaHanG in the losers finals to try and get through to the top 6 of the Quake World Championships, it's very hard. And I think he knew that it was going to be a tall order getting through, but because he saw DaHanG lose to Chain, maybe he could have done the same. But sadly, he couldn't. And he always has his reputation where his aim skill is very, very good, very similar to Max's, but he's played a little bit more unorthodox in terms of his routes and what he normally does on spawn. It was very predictable at the beginning of the Pro League in Season 1, but now it seems to be getting a bit better as time has progressed. But we need to see a bit more from him here. Yeah, sure, fair enough. He's got all the mechanics to, all the pieces to the puzzle, but, it doesn't have the puzzle itself. He needs to try and learn to adapt to people better rather than trying to at least, could say force out some of the first mistakes in a lot of his matchups.
Yeah. Absolutely, and he is going up against none other than the undisputable number 2 of NA, Liquid DaHanG. You mentioned it yourself, the man is nothing if not consistent, a tremendously strong player, tactically a mastermind, but he's also got the technical skills and the raw talent to back it up as well, and we've seen some incredible things come out of this player. Now, I spoke to him for a moment yesterday in his chat, and he said that he wasn't feeling quite up for today's matchup just yet, wasn't feeling that good about it, but that he would still take some time to prepare and practice in the hours leading up to the match. So I do hope for his sake that he managed to get himself into a shape he feels comfortable with, because nosfa is not an easy opponent.
No, especially with the aggression that comes with nosfa, you have to be really careful and be on standby for any engagement that can occur. Not only can be a little bit predictable, but there's some instances which you don't really expect because you think, oh, he's not going to come around this corner, oh, he's not going to try and trap me here. But literally he will. He'll be in your face, not like any kind of disgrace, will he? He will make sure that he'll put as much pressure on it as possible, even if he's at a back foot. He's got to be someone who you've got to be really careful with. But we can see the vetoes very shortly, and we'll probably find out exactly what they'll be up to. And I think it's going to be a bit of a decision making to see how things will pan out. But as you can see, DaHanG is the first one to ban Blood Run, and you see nosfa's banned Corrupted Keep. But very luckily, nosfa, with him, Awoken is one of his best maps, but then again, it's also one of DaHanG's best maps. I feel like DaHanG, his best maps are on Veil and Awoken, and I'm very surprised they've come up as the first 2 maps here. Blood Covenant, I know DaHanG isn't really too keen on it, so it's hit and miss really, but the fact that he's got Veil and Awoken as his first 2 maps is probably going to be laughing right now.
Oh, absolutely. These are going to be some interesting matchups, pretty close maps, or small maps rather, with the exception of Blood Covenant. Veil, one of the smallest in the game, very small surface area, lots of verticality though, so the Ranger is going to help out nosfa a lot, but DaHanG is going to try and counter that with the ice and set up no dot around that teleporter that is so important to get to that topper level. Now we've got Awoken, Doomslayer versus Strog, both players players, or both champions rather, with a lot of mobility, but in different kinds. One vertical, the other horizontal, the speed, the velocity, and then finally, the concluding map to this series will be Blood Covenant, where we see nosfa run the slash as fast as he is, and then DaHanG will try and counter that with the visor.
I like that as well. You saw the last 2 maps left was Ruins and Blood Covenant, and I've seen DaHanG, he's on and off days with Blood Covenant. Sometimes he can be quite good, but sometimes it can be quite poor. You never see him kind of excel on Blood Covenant. No, in my luck, I probably jinxed myself and you end up actually flying on Blood Covenant, but we'll find out quite surely anyway. But, I'm glad nosfa's done that. He had a choice, either ban Ruins, ban Blood Covenant. He's banned Ruins anyway, just to make sure, because he knows that DaHanG has had some slip-ups here and there on Blood Covenant. So, he hasn't had all the map choices, because you've got to remember that, like I said earlier, DaHanG is very, very good. Probably some of his best maps being at Fail and Awoken, but nosfa's also very, very good on Awoken. So they both kind of got 2 of their map picks anyway.
Yeah, indeed. I don't really see this strongly favoring either player. There is no clear line with one having an obvious advantage over the other in terms of picks and bans, whether or not they've got the maps they really want or the champions they're not comfortable with. I think both of the players are going to be in their element moving into this game, and it should be a sight to behold, no doubt. 2 of some of the best players in the Americas going head-to-head. DaHanG, really strong showing last week, taking down Dramus with a 3-0 victory. Can he do the same to nosfa? We'll have to wait and find out.
We certainly will. The first map will be unveiled. DaHanG will have the ice, and nosfa's going to not let anything get out of control. As soon as it gets the turret up top mid, and then obviously have the mega in place, and then obviously keeping up on the timings, it's going to be very, very difficult depending on how things will pan out. But you can't give him that early advantage. Even if it's a fragless draw, even when it's 0-0, don't give him that map control early, and we'll have to see what happens. But nosfa, we know what he's like, but already DaHanG has got that turret placement on the rockets to feed himself some information and a little bit of damage too, as well as getting the light, the mega, and the rockets.
Good opener. Decent amount of damage being exchanged. nosfa lacking the lightning gun though, so he has to be careful for those mid-range engagements. But on the other hand, it is DaHanG who doesn't have the rail. So both players lacking a crucial weapon, very important part of their kit. And I think that nosfa, he knows that DaHanG still doesn't have rail. Probably has figured it out by now. The rockets are good from the American, they are sublime even. And nosfa taken down pretty quickly. I don't think he was expecting DaHanG to just sit there and wait. Manages to steal away the heavy. But armor alone won't save you when all you've got to work with is your starting weapon.
I love that though. nosfa spawns in the health orb. DaHanG had a feeling that would happen, as well as him contesting the rockets. Did a little bit of damage here, and he's going to be seeing if he's going to push up on that LG, but decides to teleport through anyway. Beautiful rocket just to feed him info, and a little bit of damage there, but as you can see, went through. The turret did some damage. DaHanG did a nice LG himself, gets the heavy, and already it's been 1:20, and I'd probably safely that it's getting a little bit out of hand already. And we know what DaHanG is like and how well he can adapt to a lot of these players in the Americas, especially with their playstyle. It seems like DaHanG did a fair amount there, but decides to back away for now. But he's still got 10 seconds to the heavy. But will he prioritise the mega? It looks like he's going to try and go for it anyway. Goes around the shotgun route. Tries to throw the turret up, but the turret does fall. And nosfa does the mega for himself. But DaHanG does get the heavy anyway. So tit for tat, at least he managed to get 1 of 2. And decides what his next path is going to be.
This is a crucial point in this map for nosfa, because you mentioned it yourself, both of the liquid guys, Rafa and DaHanG, they're what I like to call a diesel. Once they get going, there's next to nothing stopping them. So this is a vital part of the map for nosfa. If he lets DaHanG build momentum right now and get that control going, DaHanG is widely considered to be one of the best timers in the business. No one keeps track of the items as well as he does. So if you're up against that, you give that man an inch, he will take a mile. So nosfa has to play this a closely guarded game and not give up too much leeway to his opponent. And that is exactly how you give up a lot of leeway, eating the tri-bolt and a rail like that. DaHanG completely nullifying any attempts at a comeback right there.
No chance indeed, especially if you're hitting shots like this. DaHanG leaving no room for error here. Not the best of rockets, but it doesn't matter as he goes straight through the telly. There's a bit more damage done. Knows that he's sitting around that rocket area. Decides to drop down, maybe get a rail off if he can. Assumes that maybe he's gone through, but he hasn't ported through. He's still on the rocket area. But DaHanG has decided to leave him alone for now. Gets one rail off. Will he go for the second? Just barely misses. And was thinking about going for that third, but decided not to. Decides to prioritize the Mega. Gonna go for the heavy now shortly, as soon as he finds out exactly the whereabouts of where nosfa could be. But surely nosfa's gonna get taken down here with the LG, which he does, and extends his lead again 4-0.
nosfa played that about as patiently as he could manage. Avoided DaHanG for quite some time, but in the end, it is a pretty small map. Sound cues carry a long way. DaHanG just figured out his location perfectly. nosfa actually had a bit of a shot right there. 2 good rails, put his opponent at just 72 points of health. Could have gotten himself the frag right there, but DaHanG had a lot to fall back on. A lot of armor, a lot of health, and nosfa has got next to nothing. DaHanG though still, just the way we know him, an extremely calculated and methodical player, isn't just going to rush through the choke point because he knows very well what could happen if nosfa lands 1 or 2 bad rockets bouncing him in an unfortunate situation. So DaHanG is just gonna stick to his own game, know he's got a good lead, and just prioritize the items, continuing doing this long distance damage, phasing nosfa out of the map and the game completely.
nosfa, how should we say, looking very uncomfortable in this moment in time. He's not really had any kind of control for the entire first half of this game. Will it change in the second half? Well, it better change the way he's playing at the moment. Both on a similar stack, but that's not going to happen for too much longer as DaHanG does get the Mega. Decides not to burn for light armor due to the fact that if he's going to be up there most of the time anyway, might as well save it for himself later on, no matter how big his stack is. Also won't feed him too much information either, as it looks like nosfa has picked it up. Still got just under 5 minutes left to play, but nosfa needs to make something happen. This is not an engagement he wants to take. He's left on just a small amount of HP. Throws the turret down in case nosfa does go back through the telly, but decides to take a different route anyways. But nosfa gets away, but for how long though, as he managed to bounce through the telly, drop down on the rail, and DaHanG still finds out exactly where he is. nosfa's trying to get just anything going at this moment in time, but DaHanG's not leaving him much room to breathe. Finds him out perfectly. Great prediction from DaHanG, and now extends it 5-0.
DaHanG is also doing a tremendous amount of damage, already doing 800 points more than his opponent, and that is just opening up the map to him. nosfa, several situations where he actually managed to get up to that base stack of 100, but then he just absolutely unable to make anything happen with him, because he would show his face, and DaHanG, as we just signed the previous engagement, lands a rocket, 80 points of damage, a rail, and that's it. nosfa's done for. Back to the drawing board, completely shut down and now caught out of position, out of control. And DaHanG brings the pain from above. He's just gonna chain this together. nosfa desperately going in with the shotgun. I like DaHanG's positioning right there, backing up, knowing that the only way he's going to drop a frag right there is if he sticks too close to his opponent, so he just avoided the kill zone right there.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Flea, this doesn't look like someone who wasn't ready for today's matchup. Seems to be the complete opposite end of the stick. But look at this though, rocket coming through, the LG is just fantastic. Missed a couple of shots here and there, but that's understandable due to nosfa's strafe. He's trying to wing and dodge out the way as much as he could, but it doesn't matter too much. The outcome was still the same. 9-0 now, 3 minutes left. If nosfa wants to do something, anything to grasp any kind of way to tie things to sudden death or win, then now he needs to do it. But look at the stack difference at the moment, Flea. nosfa literally holding on for dear life with DaHanG very much laughing at this moment in time. And look at that. Behind him, made no noise. nosfa had absolutely no clue who was hanging underneath that telly. Takes a rail to the back. Rockets coming through. Will it be 11-0? It could possibly here. Yes, it will. Gets caught off a little bit there with the LG, and DaHanG gets the Mega, gets the light, and soon to be heavy possibly in the next few seconds after this next engagement.
I also love the contrast in the use of the turret by Ison. Earlier, when we saw Avik use that champion, he would drop the turret constantly in the middle of the fight, using it to just shut down the doorway, try to make sure his opponent couldn't freely drop onto an item. But the Hang hasn't moved his turret once. The turret stays right at the teleporter exit at the top floor, and again, putting it down in the same location once more. The Hang is really just like, why change it if it works? That is a crucial part of the map. nosfa has to go through there if he wants to get back into the series, so I'm just going to leave the turret up there, and it's going to distract him, it's going to do damage, just like now. nosfa had to divert his attention onto the turret first. DaHanG uses that tiny little gap to do a lot of damage and run away with yet another frag. So that just shows the many creative and different ways you can use these abilities in Quake Champions.
Yeah, you normally see two turret placements, normally in front of the Mega up the top mid on the telly anyways, because if someone tries to rocket jump through, or they bounce through the telly and try and go straight for the Mega, the turret can get in the way at times, depending on where you've placed it. Or the other option is to leave it on top of that light, or on top of the light ramp, so at least that way if they push through, at least they'll expect not a turret to be there, and then it can cause a little bit of damage as well as feed them some information. So you got two ways there, but it seems like every time, or normally 8 or 9 times out of 10, they will leave it in front of the Mega, so at least that way it blocks him, like you said before, going for that Mega. So it's not too often you see it on the light armor ramp, but you know, we've seen a few weird things in the past, so we'll have to see what happens in the future. But nosfa now does get that first frag on the board, too little too late anyway, 30 seconds left. You can try and make it a respectable score, but I don't think even him or even he will be able to do that at this moment in time. 20 seconds left, he's going to try and get a second frag, but the turret there being an absolute nuisance, giving DaHanG a chance to get away. You know, just the target, but nosfa's only on 18 HP here. It's all said and done, 10 seconds left. DaHanG will be walking away with the first map win in the series, but nosfa will definitely need to go back to his old ways with the aggression we all know and love, because if he plays like that in the other matchups, then it's not going to be looking too good for the rest of the series.
Yeah, absolutely. DaHanG, he came out swinging. At the beginning of the map, things were still looking relatively close. nosfa actually had some pretty good positions, was able to deny DaHanG one of the key weapons that he needed, but then things just changed extremely quickly. DaHanG got one good engagement and leveraged into really solid control, and then playing out of control on the map that is Veil is incredibly difficult to do, because what does DaHanG do? He just runs the map. He picks up Mega, he goes to Heavy, and then he cycles around through the final section of the map down towards Railgun. So what do? You spawn over at Rail, and you have to make a decision. You have to leave. You can't just stay there and wait. And so nosfa was just constantly being punished by DaHanG no matter where he went on the map. Never was able to really use the orb to leverage any sort of good advantages, and DaHanG just played it perfectly. As we went over already, the totem, or the turret rather, didn't move an inch for the entirety of the map. He just stuck with what worked, and yeah, the results clearly show that DaHanG was the better player this time around.
It does work normally. Most people will leave the turret directly in front of the telly, which is understandable. People will only leave it on top of the light armor ramp if, for example, they want to, you know, not show the turret's placement, or maybe just have a little bit unorthodox, you could say, so at least people think they can go straight through. It depends really on the situation. It depends really how you put yourself, depending on the last engagement you was in. But even then though, look at that. nosfa had 1,700 less damage, and he only picked up 5 items the entire time. Don't get me wrong, he at least had 28 light, but that's not really going to make too much difference though.
Yeah, I mean, that's just... the amount of lights you pick up is a very good predictor for how out of control you were, because you've got nothing else to work with, and your opponent, when they are in control and they've got heavy, they also can't pick up the light armors at the same time because they're capped at 100 points of armor. So you can really see just how much time nosfa had to spend out of control looking for sneaky angles. But of course, DaHanG, incredibly talented veteran player, knows the strategies, know how to play around that, and just didn't give nosfa, the Brazilian Thunder, any room to work with. So a really solid play. nosfa back to the drawing board. Next map is going to be Awoken. This should be somewhat different, a lot less vertical of a map. I don't think there's as many opportunities for DaHanG to just really get the same kind of domination going, but still, nosfa, he'll have to make good use out of that speed he gets with the straw.
Yeah, DaHanG's accuracy in that last game was pretty standard. It was more all about his movement and his tactics and his strategies in that last map. That kind of told the tale, really. Held the angles, knew when to push, and knew when to counter-attack, and knew when to be passive. It was just all those things wrapped into one. But going to this next map, though, I felt like Vale could be more one-sided due to the fact that I know nosfa's not too keen on it, but both these players are very keen on Awoken. They both enjoy and love this map anyway. So this should be, we're hoping, a slightly different affair in comparison.
Yeah, I think that Awoken is just, it's a fan favorite, both from casual players as well as top-level pros. I don't hear anything but just good feedback about the map, and everyone seems to like it, but of course, some players are more gifted at it than others, right? DaHanG, for example, has really managed to make that map his own, but as you said, neither of these players are strangers to the map that is Awoken. I think this is going to, again, be a pretty fast-paced game. Again, those first few minutes are going to be decisive. nosfa, he has to stay on top of things. DaHanG, he's a diesel. Once he gets going, you're not gonna stop him. You need to constantly check him and apply that kind of pressure, or otherwise he's just going to make you disappear off the map. There's gonna be nothing left for you to work with.
You are right, though. It doesn't seem to matter what kind of tier list you're in terms of your player stature. Even if you're in Pro League or you're someone playing casually in matchmaking, Awoken is always chosen in duel. Like, if there's 3 maps there, it will get chosen every single time without fail. But what can you do away? You know, we've seen enough Awoken. We're going to get even more Awoken here, as we're going to start off with DaHanG to see if he can continue his path of destruction, or if nosfa can make a go of it here and make some changes to a play to see, hopefully, DaHanG. But even then, though, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be a tall order. nosfa definitely has the ability. But DaHanG, not the best of stacks. nosfa is slightly ahead in that favour. Missed a couple of rails here, and it's not looking too good for him. But at least he picks up the light to make sure he's not in too much of a bad spot. Gets to Mega, misses that top mid jump, but doesn't manage. Just having a little circle around to see if he's anywhere nearby. But at least he gets the light for free. Going to push in through and see if he can find out his whereabouts, which he will find now, and is predicting him to go through that telly, but will take that first rail shot and back away for now.
nosfa, definitely with a bit of a stack advantage going into this map. He wants some more though, he's looking for those angles, he's hungry for them. Looks like he actually has the time to make his way over to Heavy, but he looks like he's going to take... Oh, that's a beautiful little jump right there. Using the nail to get up onto that upper platform instantly without having to use the stairs, and then landing a nice little rail. DaHanG was still kind of sitting around, sticking in that doorway, seeing what he must have done. Then the moment that damage came through, he knew he couldn't stick around. Good place from nosfa right now.
Yeah, nosfa has a huge stack advantage. It can do whatever it wants at this moment in time, and decides to get a remarkable rail, I'd have to say. It must have been almost like a pixel peek from there as DaHanG was trying to get across. DaHanG definitely didn't expect that. I think probably more expected him to prioritize some of the weapons and the items rather than actually come straight for him. But great play from nosfa to take off guard. Gets 100 damage from that rocket, but the tri-bolt's coming in for DaHanG. Does a fair amount of damage, at least enough to back nosfa away. And DaHanG was looking to see if it can try and push that Mega and contest it, but that is not going to happen here. But look, if it's so, DaHanG's pushing way in and takes down nosfa and ties things up one apiece.
That was an extremely aggressive push. nosfa absolutely wasn't ready for that. He was just sitting around with the railgun out trying to jump across, while DaHanG out of nowhere. And DaHanG wasn't even in such an oppressively strong situation with a major stack advantage, but he just went for it, completely taking nosfa by surprise. nosfa can't land the kill shot. That is going to DaHanG can't land the kill shot, and that is going to give his opponent the Mega to get away with. Good LG though, but the rockets! Somehow, somewhere, nosfa finds the angle. You know DaHanG's going to be talking to himself after that one. Good plays from the Brazilian. He's starting off really strong.
Yeah, I felt DaHanG maybe was being more careful about his positioning rather than thinking about the rockets coming at him, because he's probably almost standing still when he was trying to LG him across from that rail side. Or just above the Heavy. But nosfa now in a very healthy spot, looking very good here. Just picked up the light, got a slight advantage in terms of stack, both trading the rails. Pika gets destroyed instantly. nosfa being railed back. But both of them are very similar, and it looks like nosfa was the one waiting for that first engagement. DaHanG taken down. And now nosfa up 3-1, looking to try and hopefully extend that, but with the Mega up as well. And even if DaHanG got the MGs, missed a few shots here and there, it was enough for DaHanG to try and get away, which he has done, which is good stuff from him. nosfa back to his default stack, but is still on the hunt at the moment. But he's taking the first rail. If he takes one more, he won't be able to engage, which he hasn't now. He's only on 45 HP left remaining. He needs to be careful, he's railable. But as I was saying, he takes down DaHanG anyway. What a trade-off.
Oh, absolutely, that was gorgeous. Rockets now, they have to be pretty good too. DaHanG gets knocked back, has a sliver of health. Shotgun is indeed the right tool for the job. As nosfa extending his lead, this is looking solid. Back after QuakeCon 2019, there were a lot of people wondering maybe nosfa is actually top 3 NA. Didn't quite live up to that during Season 1, but this gives hope.
I feel like nosfa is playing this map a little bit slower compared to how he normally plays it. So maybe, you know, he's been training quite a bit more over the last month during the off-season, realizing what his mistakes could be. But he seems to be a lot more calm and collective, I'll probably say, Flea. I wouldn't say passive, just a lot more calm and collective in terms of how he wants to engage certain fights.
After Maxter played so well last week, I made a bit of a cheeky tweet and I said, nosfa, you've got to put in the effort if you want to stay at #1 South America. So maybe that peppered him on a little bit. Look at those rails, the headshot. nosfa definitely committed to staying the #1 SA player. Ooh, sticking around a bit long though. Yeah, once that LG ran out. Probably should have vacated or gone for the instant flick. Unfortunately for him, gave DaHanG a lot of time to work with. Neither player landing final rail, but it's actually nosfa gets the better positioning. Heavy should be going his way, as DaHanG gets the better positioning on Mega.
Yeah, DaHanG was looking for that free pick with the rail, doesn't get it. But this is not a good start to the first rail. Both of them come out with the LG. DaHanG has a slight advantage here, especially pick up that health orb, but even the health orb doesn't give him the extended lead, as now nosfa is the one who extends it himself, 9-2. But, you know, this is DaHanG we're talking about. nosfa has 4 minutes to try and continue on. And it looks like the first rail is looking good. Was tempted to go for the second, but he's only on 44 HP. That was such a big risk, trying to get away from that angle. And he was so lucky to even get away with that. I'm surprised that was a big risk. I didn't expect nosfa to even pass through to that light armor window.
Yeah.
But look at this though. DaHanG is on his tail. He knows exactly where he is. He's only on 100 HP. nosfa cannot take this next engagement. And if he does, oh, as I'm saying that was a beautiful rocket there from nosfa. And now, even things up just a little bit.
DaHanG though caught in a bad situation without the LG. The rockets, they need to be sublime, but nosfa, better weapon choice for him to be sure. Of course, not much of a choice for DaHanG. He didn't have the lightning gun to work with, but at that range, it's basically just spray and pray, hoping that those rockets will connect at that distance, whereas nosfa was, of course, able to dish out consistent, steady damage with the lightning gun. Now, this is a sight that you don't see every day. DaHanG trailing by 8 full frags. Just 2.5 minutes left to work with. Shows up for the Mega a bit early, actually. I don't know if that was a mistime or if he just wanted to try and block his opponent off in that situation. But nosfa looking almost insurmountably strong going into the final part of this map.
This is remarkable from nosfa. This is not the same player we normally see day in, day out each week on the Pro League. He's definitely made a huge amount of changes to how he wants to come out on top in this matchup. And he's definitely thought about exactly how he's going to come about and doing this. And let's be honest, I'm sure all of us, especially the viewers at home, when we saw that first map, we thought it was going to be another one-sided series. But it seems like he's learned a lot from the last time he played DaHanG in the losers finals, the American side, of the Quake World Championships. And look at this, what a difference, 11-2 now. He may not even have enough time left even for DaHanG to catch up here and could go to the third map.
I mean, I think nosfa is just gonna play this a bit more passively now. He knows he's got such a lead. The only way he could still throw this is by just dying time and time again. So if he just doesn't show his face to DaHanG, doesn't really matter if he can't contest for items, especially if he can continue dishing out this kind of damage. Now taking a good defendable position. Got a bit of a choke point, but the LG has to be used as he clicks out of rockets. That could have gone wrong for nosfa. Luckily for him, DaHanG's momentum and that LG just carried him down into the hole by the bounce pad. But at this point though, even if that would have gone the wrong way, I mean, there's doubt on anyone's mind that nosfa is going to be able to tie things up.
Yeah, he wasn't really keeping an eye on his ammo count for his rockets, but to be fair, I feel like the LG actually done him justice in comparison, and I don't think we expected DaHanG to fly like that. We thought it was going to be a quick engagement, maybe DaHanG can try and come back from this, but look at the rails from nosfa, just constantly keeping him at bay, but it's not enough, as DaHanG finally gets another frag on the board, but it's just way too little too late. 35 seconds left, 8 frag deficit, not going to happen. And I didn't think I'd say this, but it looks like we're going to a final map between both of these players.
Yep, indeed. I think, of course, DaHanG was the favorite going into this matchup, but nosfa, very well known to be an extremely skilled player in his own right. Tremendous combat capabilities, actually out-damaging DaHanG by nearly 1,000 points. The accuracy is looking solid as well. 56% railgun, make that 57. nosfa, he's got momentum, and hopefully that can carry over into the final map of the series.
And it's going to be on Blood Covenant, a map for DaHanG, which we know he's not particularly keen on. He's okay, but it's not one of his better maps, and it seems like nosfa has chosen that map for a reason, and for that exact reason precisely. Could have chosen Ruins earlier, decided to ban it anyway. But for DaHanG, though, he's on the back foot. I think if he has a bit of a strategic approach in comparison to the first two maps, then I think DaHanG would be perfectly fine. It's a very tough one to call. I've seen it before where nosfa is trying to express his style a little bit more. But the fact that he was playing so calm and collective on a map like Awoken, it's the last thing I would have expected. The last thing most people probably would have expected watching this map, and I'm very proud of nosfa. You know, he's made a huge change to his style of play, and it's working out for him nicely.
That railgun was instrumental to his victory. So many excellent shots, we mentioned it right, 57% rail to end the map on. So many great engagements like this one. Whips it right back up, catches a glimpse of the head, whoop, down goes DaHanG, the headshot, pop goes the weasel. Like, he has just been on point with that weapon, and it just so happens to be that Blood Covenant tends to be a pretty rail-heavy map as well, so I think that nosfa, he's looking pretty solid going into this one. Again, he did it right. Apply pressure. Do not give your opponent an inch, because someone like DaHanG, they will take a mile the moment they can. So nosfa, I think he's looking pretty good. If he can get off to a similar start as he did, this could absolutely be his win.
It will be an interesting win indeed, and maybe the first of possibly like another upset of the day. And the fact that nosfa has made such an impact, and there you said it before, 58% with the rail, 11-4 in favour of the scoreline of nosfa. Unreal and unheard of. And we also said that they both love Awoken. It's both one of their favourite maps, one of their better maps. And, you know, with the first two maps, I said DaHanG is probably laughing at that stage because it's got his map choice. He's not laughing now, though, because he's got to play Blood Covenant. But then again, you see, nosfa does have to slash. He's got a lot more to work with. He's got, you know, a wider variety of strategies he can use for the speed and mobility of slash. A problem with DaHanG is the fact that, yeah, sure, he's got the piercing sights. He can keep tabs on the location of where he could be. But the only problem with DaHanG is the fact that he needs to make sure he does not give away the first frag or even the lead against nosfa, because even though he can be a very aggressive style of play, he is the sort of player where he will be on the back foot and will keep away and keep his distance to re-heal consistently and maybe even take the win from that. So I think DaHanG may be a little bit worried here.
I mean, yeah, absolutely, but nosfa, as you said, he has got to be careful, because the champion picks are also not in his favor if he gets behind. If DaHanG gets rotation going, gets that top control, that piercing sight, it's going to hurt. It is going to sting constantly. Yes, nosfa has the speed, but if DaHanG can get a perfect read on you every half a minute, probably even more so when he's in control and can just eat away those hourglasses, if you get out of control against that, you're done for. So nosfa, he's got to stay close. He's got to play it close to the ball and really guard himself going into this map.
I think caution is a big word as well for nosfa, because we know at times the guy can get a little bit carried away. We've seen that plenty of times, but I think he's realised that himself now, especially going into that last map. But I'm hoping he doesn't let the momentum get too much in his favour and get a little bit too out of hand. But we'll see what happens, as we are going to start from nosfa's point of view. And if you guys are just, we are on the 5th series of the day. It's 1-1 between both DaHanG and nosfa, and we're going to map number 3, the final map of the series between both of these players. And it looks like DaHanG has already got a decent advantage in terms of stack. nosfa's just picked up the heavy, was trying to catch him off guard with the rockets, and the rail didn't do it justice, but both players are level pegging in terms of health.
No delay whatsoever between the items either, meaning that we're not going to see anyone being able to set up full control just yet. DaHanG though, hanging down at the bottom of the map, as nosfa will be the one to secure the heavy this time around. Now it's a race to the mega. DaHanG, of course, at the better positioning, will make it over. And we are indeed seeing a very passive start as predicted. Both players want to hang on to a low scoreline for as long as they can. They only want to engage when they feel comfortable and confident in their abilities. If DaHanG gets the lead, he's got the piercing sight to always keep track of where nosfa is. If nosfa gets the lead, he's got the speed, whereas DaHanG will have to try and chase him down with no movement abilities whatsoever. So both players clearly favoring a bit more of a reactionary, passive and cautious, as you said, approach going into this deciding map.
And nosfa knows too that compared to him, DaHanG will be more focused on the hourglasses in comparison to consistently keep tabs on where nosfa could be with that piercing sight. Missed a few rails here. There's slight, not too much confidence here for nosfa, but he's got to be careful. It's not railable, but he's 2 HP away from it, and he has backed away nicely. That was probably the perfect way to play that. And he drops down for the light, and he knows the mega's going to be up, and it's probably just been taken, which he has done. So DaHanG's got a very healthy stack, and this is where nosfa can't really put himself in a position where he can get cornered like that area he was just in. But luckily, he was only there for a moment, got that rail off, manages to get away, and is waiting for that next heavy to respawn.
That one engagement at bridge decided all of that. nosfa sticking around and DaHanG on top doing most of the damage, forced nosfa out of the room, gave heavy to DaHanG, and then nosfa realized that he just didn't have the stack to just go sit pretty on mega, knowing exactly what was coming his way. And DaHanG will finish it off this time around, but nosfa ended up getting out of control because of that early engagement, misses the little cheeky nail gun jump, and that's gonna make a lot of noise. But oh my goodness, DaHanG must have figured that that would have been an easy, maybe even a free frag after nosfa messed up the jump. That couldn't have been further from the truth, as those nails, they hurt, and they hurt bad.
Oh dearie me, DaHanG. That was a bit of a shame. And to be fair, I actually quite surprised he kept his rail out the entire time. I thought he was going to switch to the rockets or the LG, most probably the rockets, of course, with Slash's hitbox. But very surprising. nosfa, wouldn't say a miracle, but got away with his life there very, very closely.
Yeah.
But still, it's only 3.5 minutes in. But nosfa's looking very healthy, looking very good in terms of stack, and DaHanG needs to be on his toes. Keep that piercing sight at bay. Always keep an eye on the hourglasses, making sure he can keep tabs on nosfa. But he is on the chase, and we said before that he needs to be very careful if he gives nosfa the lead. Not too much of a lead, I'm hoping. But it's going to chase him down anyway. This is where the speed is definitely going to come in, and he's so weak. Literally on a slimmer of health. 1 HP! But it doesn't matter. DaHanG gets 1 health orb, but he's going to need plenty more because nosfa's on the hunt. He's on the chase now, and is looking for his whereabouts, but decides to prioritize the heavy, get onto the top rockets to see if he can find where DaHanG is. He will find him, but he needs to hit these rails if he wants to extend this lead here, Flea.
There was actually a moment where nosfa was at rockets and he could see DaHanG walk around on catwalk, but he was looking over the teleporter exit and missed a perfect opportunity to extend his lead even further. And DaHanG actually recovering so nicely from having literally one single point of health is now actually more or less outstacking nosfa. I like that play from nosfa. He knows that Heavy is about to spawn, but he also figures that that small armor is up. So what does that do? First, it allows him to get even more stack out of it, and second, and this is of course the main one, is denying it to DaHanG, knowing that his opponent cannot make use of the small armor when he picks it up. He's just gonna drop on it. Might be ill-advised. He needs to do a bit more damage before he can commit to such a dangerous fight. And he will retreat for the time being. Wise decision, I feel like. Not ready to kick it into the highest gear just yet.
This is the thing, you see, nosfa can choose the engagements he wants, which is perfect for him at this moment in time. But I can't see this map ending 2-1. DaHanG will find a way at some stage, and nosfa knows that. He knows that he may have to extend this lead by at least a couple of frags in order to take this map and the series overall to cause an upset. And the upset is definitely on the cards here. It continues the way he plays. But I've noticed nosfa, you know, we always say how a little bit predictable he's been, but he's baiting his opponent a lot more compared to before. But the LG comes through nicely for DaHanG. This is not looking good for nosfa, but it's looking good. nosfa's only on 3 HP. Manages to get away with his life. Back on 33. Gets a few health orbs, gets to Heavy. Don't know how he got away with that, but he was very, very lucky. But he's only on 10 HP now. Surely DaHanG will tie things up. Yes, he will. And my words. That was very close there, Flea. But it looks like he's going back in for it again. 100 HP. DaHanG just picked up the light. This is not looking good for nosfa, but he just manages to get away. Will he? No, he won't. And DaHanG's the one who manages to take charge and take the lead 3-2 with only 3 minutes 40 left remaining.
nosfa just completely caught off guard with that rocket jump right there. DaHanG knew that nosfa had nothing other than the tri-bolt. Oh, switches to the gauntlet. Not quite sure what was up with that. Fumbling the weapon choice right there. That is going to allow DaHanG to land another nasty rail. Oh. The movement wasn't quite there either. We've been seeing quite a few little mistakes by nosfa when it comes to the movement. Just cutting the slide a little short, jumping into a wall, killing his momentum. And it was bound to just end bad sooner or later, and that's exactly what that was. Now nosfa's got a good position. Decent amount of damage being done as well. The delay, 15 seconds between the two items. DaHanG has plenty of time to just loop all the way back around still. Looks like he won't though. nosfa did enough damage, got the better position early enough, so DaHanG isn't quite going to commit to the Mega just yet. Rails are sublime as usual. nosfa is in trouble. Is DaHanG going to stick with this? Yeah.
This is absolute filth here at the moment, Flea. The fact that, you know, another great rail again from DaHanG. I don't know why we were even slowly counting them out at one point, because you saw there that nosfa, he was in a great spot. Both had the similar stack all the time. nosfa was making the right engagements, but DaHanG has just been hitting everything left, right, and center, and it's been ridiculous to say the least. But nosfa, though, gets one frag back, still has to get 3 to his name over the next couple of minutes, but pushes through, and this is a perfect opportunity. DaHanG couldn't push, he saw that, and then got cornered off on that side of the wall in the LG area. But look at this though, only 2 more frags left, still got 1 minute and 45 left. nosfa has plenty of time to try and make something happen in this, but he can't play it too passive. But we know nosfa isn't really a passive man, can be calm and collected from time to time, but this is his moment to shine. This is probably his perfect chance to take this series. Gets the Mega, but it's just not enough, as DaHanG was the one, I think, managed to grab that in the end, and now nosfa's on the back foot. 3 frags remaining, could be a 4 frag deficit if DaHanG cleans up. He doesn't, but it could be too little too late here. nosfa needs to pull something out of the bag here, I feel, Flea.
I'm definitely inclined to agree. DaHanG has been doing so much damage in these last few minutes. Both players hitting hard though. 55 versus 53% on the railgun. nosfa taking that 57. He still has time. 1 minute for 2 frags. Entirely doable. But he has to be cautious because he knows what DaHanG can do. He can't be missing those rails at this stage of the map. nosfa, now he has to start making these decisions. Do I still pick up the major items? Or do I just try and blindly chase, but leaving those items is going to give them to my opponent? That's not gonna work out either. This is good from nosfa, landing the rail, another one, he has to continue this. No! Fumbles for a moment, losing track of DaHanG, but still, the flick rail cleans it up. nosfa, he's still in it to win it, Lidl, he can still do it.
He definitely can. He's got the speed. It's just about a matter of finding info. He picked up the Mega, picked up the Heavy. He's only got 15 seconds left. He needs to charge in right now to see if he can find anything. He's got a glimpse of him taking a little bit of damage, but he's only got 7 seconds left remaining. He needs to push on through. He needs to try and get in when the going gets tough, but it looks like DaHanG has chosen the right path and decided to go to the steps in case he did actually push up. But well played from DaHanG to make that comeback and then extend his lead enough to solidify that victory and in the series. nosfa is a real shame. I did say that that map wasn't going to end 2-1. DaHanG was definitely going to find a way somehow, some way to get some of those frags back, which he did do. But it was just the course of at the end. You know, when he went up that staircase rather than going bottom mid, we knew that for nosfa it wasn't going to be looking too good. Maybe it's a little bit earlier, but even if he had to stack, you know that DaHanG would have had some decent defensive rockets if he went in that narrow corridor, and it probably would have been 8-6. But well played from both of those players. nosfa, it looked very one-sided for DaHanG in terms of how great it was in the first map. But map 2 and map number 3 were absolute slobber knockers, and we didn't really predict it considering how well the first map went for DaHanG.
This was definitely one of the best series we've seen yet. DaHanG, he was just so oppressively strong with the railgun, and it actually took nosfa a fair bit of time to catch up, it feels like. Towards the end, nosfa actually managed to overtake DaHanG in terms of railgun accuracy, but by then, there was just not enough time left to do it, and then he missed some crucial shots, but this was really an extraordinary series, and I think it shows why so many people absolutely love nosfa, and why he is rated so highly. When his game is on point, he can take down the absolute best in the world, and I want to see more of him. Look at this flick as well. Loses track of DaHanG, gets caught in midair, bam, still nails his opponent to the floor. A very important shot right there. nosfa absolutely shouldn't feel too bad about this loss. It was a close game. You really put in the effort. Managed to take at least one map, nearly 2 from DaHanG.
That's a massive improvement from nosfa. Like I said earlier, you know, DaHanG beating very comfortably in the losers finals of the Americas region in the Quake World Championships. And look at the difference he's made. 2-1, he almost took the entire series. It's the same for Maxter when he played against Effortless. Lost 2-0 in the Americas region at the Quake World Championships. Instead, beats Effortless 3-0. You know, a lot of these LATAM players, these 2 LATAM players in general, have made a huge impact already during this second season and the first stage. But look at that, those 62 items total picked up for DaHanG, and a very, very close series. Definitely one we didn't really too much have expected. Maybe 2-1 or 3-0 in favour of DaHanG, but in terms of how close that last map was, I did say that DaHanG, you know, Blood Covenant is not really too confident on it, but is normally okay. You don't really see him go off. But during that 2-3 minute segment where he literally, his aim was just absolutely next to nothing. Like literally his aim was on par. Yeah. It was so good. And you couldn't really compete with anything like that. nosfa was trying to be as fast as possible, trying to get these items from large distances, but he was still hitting those damn rails.
I mean, we said it going into this, right? DaHanG, he turns up when he needs to. The man is extremely consistent, and when he gets going, it's extremely hard to stop him. nosfa played this as well as he could have. He should be proud of his performance. That really could have gone either way. Really, it went to the final few seconds of the map. 1 or 2 more rail hits could have given it to the Brazilian player, but ultimately, DaHanG just reigned supreme at the very end. Still, one of the absolute best series we've seen in Season 2 of the Quake Pro League so far.
Absolutely. Let's have a look at the American standings at the moment to see exactly what the placements are like so far after some of the series we've had today. So DaHanG looks like he had taken the top spot alongside Chain. He could have actually taken number 1, but instead of, he'll be joint first due to the fact that nosfa did take a map off him. Saigib, after the match earlier, manages to claim that 3rd place spot. But Dewey, you know, he's gone 2-2 in terms of losses, which is a bit of a shame really, because he's had some close series both against Chain and Saigib, but I'm sure later on he will get some wins underneath his belt. But Rafa and Max, they are 5th and 6th, but they still need to play a match. They do have a match in hand yet. But so far, kind of what we expected.
Yep. Also worth noting is that these are the final standings for NA for today. There's no more North American games happening. Both of the remaining matches are between EU and CIS players. So what you just saw is indeed the way that we end this week for our North American standings.
That's absolutely right, Flea. We've got 2 more series left. The next one coming up will be CNZ versus Cooler, and the next one will be Cypher versus Base. 2 great series coming up very shortly, so make sure you do not go anywhere with the Quake Pro League, and we'll see you in the next few minutes.